Hello everyone, welcome to my corner of the world. I have been having some issues here with connectivity. I don't know if you can see me at the moment. I'm going to try to clock out the old one and bring in the new one. Oh dear, this has not happened to me before. Okay, so hopefully we're now all live, and I'm sorry for the delay while we got that sorted. Right, so I'm hoping you're all out there, you can see me, and we can carry on with what I have to share with you today. So last week I shared some products that were being released this coming Wednesday. That's on March the 1st, and this is the Hello Irresistible Suite, and this is the an online exclusive that Stampin' Up! Are offering. And there's the stamp set, the dies, and lovely papers, and this was the card we created last week using some of those products. And so this time I am going to be using the lovely papers that are in the online offering, as well as the dies. So the papers are these ones, and they are called naturally gilded specialty designer paper, and they come, as you can see, there's sort of two white based ones and a vanilla one, and they are embossed with, or gilded with, copper, gold and silver, and they match up beautifully with the foils that Stampin' Up! Have, which is the silver, the copper and the gold. And so I thought that I would use these papers today to create some ideas. Also in this online offering is this set of 3 embossing folders, and I'm going to be using those as well. And because this is a new stamp set, I thought I'd also use the greetings from this stamp set as well. Okay. I'm still concerned about you not being able to see me. Just give me a couple of moments. If you can see and hear me, please, would you just leave a comment in that chat box, and then I know that you're there and that this is working. Okay, now I wanted to use a card base that, again, perhaps a little bit of a fancy fold. And so I did a bit of thinking, and this is how I do my thinking with scraps of paper, so I don't... Oh, Ellen, thank you for letting me know. I truly appreciate you getting on there and saying that. That's made my morning. I set everything up, I pressed the button to go, and all of a sudden it said I didn't have any connections, and so I've had to restart, and it's kind of thrown me a bit for a loop, but I'll try and get back on an even keel now I know that someone's out there watching me. So I have this piece of scratch paper, and this measures 11 by 5.5, and I scored it 3 3/8 from each end. And then that kind of gives me this sort of gatefold effect like that. And I thought that these two panels would be perfect for featuring these beautiful papers. So that means that my panels that I need to cut for layering is 3 by 5.25. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with, let's start with the silver. Now, obviously this paper has a direction, and so I want it to sort of be longer. So I'm going to make sure that I cut a piece that is sort of this way. So where are you joining me from, Ellen? So I need 3 by 5.25. So that gives me that piece, which will fit on the front there. And the other side, I'm going to use the silver, and this is going to be the same size piece as well, because both panels are the same. Oh, Nevada. Well, we drove through Nevada when we took our trip to California last summer. I live here in North Texas, and so we have been through Nevada a couple of times before. So here we go. These are the 3 different embossing folders, and I've kind of run some cardstock through them before, so I already know what I've got going here. So this one has kind of got like little star flower petal-y type. This one is kind of a random stripy sort of finish. And then this one is polka dots. And they're quite big polka dots. Right, so I'll use the polka dot one first. Now, the foil is one-sided, so to make sure that I get the effect on the side I want, I need to put it in the embossing folder so that I can see the Stampin' Up! Logo on it, and I want to make sure it doesn't go too close to the top, the fold here, because there's an empty space and it will curl the card round. So I'm just going to use my cut and emboss machine. So I need my #1 plate, and I'm going to lay it down hinge first, and then I'm going to use my grey embossing plate and then just crank that on through. And there. Isn't that a lovely effect? I really like that one. So that's our piece to go on there. And this here is going to go on that side, and my card will open up like that. Now I want to do a little bit of decoration in the middle, and so I've got my stamp set. As I said, I'm using this one that's coming out in the exclusive. I love these leaves and lovely font that the greetings are in, and in keeping with all the other shininess on the card, I am going to just emboss my inside piece, and I'm using my silver embossing powder. Hi Johnny, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. The weather here in North Texas is really overcast and grim today. It's a horrid day. So spending some time doing some cards is perfect to spend your day. So there's my inside piece, and I will admit I did go ahead just to save a little bit of time, and I did my envelope with the same embossing and stamp and same embossing. So let's go ahead and get these pieces attached. So I like to use liquid adhesive. Johnny knows that. She joins me a lot for card crafting. It's just, I like the way that it allows me to move my card and attach the, and get it centered. Now that paper is nice and thin, and so it sticks quite nicely. The card, the foil, this is a bit thicker, and so I want to use some double-sided tape for this. One of my biggest fears is my cards arriving at their destination, and as they're pulled out of the envelope, they fall apart. And as I said, it's my biggest fear, and so I'm always ultra cautious about how much adhesive I use. And this double-sided tape is just a little bit stronger than the liquid. So I'm just going to gently press that down. So do you do much in the way of card crafting, Ellen? So I'm just going to tip these little bits of, I'm just going to pull this back a little bit here, so I'm just exposing a little bit of my adhesive, and then I'm going to just line up and center that. And the reason I'm doing this is that once with this double-sided tape, it's kind of once and done. If you don't get it in the right place straight away, it's not going to come off nicely. So I'm just going to push my little corners down and then pull this out and just bring my finger down to there. And there's my piece. What do you think? Oh, when time permits. I know, Ellen. There's always something else that needs to be done. Now, I'll do one of these. I went ahead and made this little front piece with my greeting on it, and I will show you how I did that when I do my next card. I am just going to attach that with some Stampin' Dimensionals. These are, now I think I want to try and have it hanging over a little bit. Now I need you guys to be thinking about whether or not I need to put any ribbon on this. I love my ribbons, but I'm wondering if with all the shininess, maybe I don't need anything. So what do you think? Should we go for a bit of ribbon? I'm just going to put my bone folder just to make sure that that sits a bit flatter. So the ribbon I was thinking about is this. This is the twine, the elegant twine. So, oh, Johnny says yes with the ribbon. Well, let's try it. I've got, let's just put a little bow in there. So what do we think? It takes a few moments for your answer to get back to me. So I'm gonna, what do you think to that? Just a little bow on there, which we could put on with a glue dot. I'll give you a few moments to let me know what you think on that one. So that's using our silver with white. So now what we'll do is we'll do with one of the other papers. So I'm going to do the gold next. So this time I've got the gold on the vanilla, and I need to do cut 3 by 5 1/4. Oh, Ellen says yes with the bow. Okay, so I've got 2 votes for a bow, so that's what we're gonna do. So there's my one piece, and then I've got my piece of gold foil. So I'm gonna cut 5 1/4 and then cut it down to 3. All right, there's those pieces. I'm just trying to keep myself organized here because I've got quite a bit of stuff going on. And this time I'm using a card base in vanilla. And again, it's exactly the same. It's 11 by 5 1/2. And I scored it 3 3/8 from either side. So this time I'm going to use my gold embossing powder and my sticky Versamark, and we're going to put there, and an envelope. So let's pop this for the envelope, and I can do those at the same time. So doing heat embossing and using embossing folders, sometimes that's called dry embossing. I love both techniques. I think that sometimes that when you've got that embossing going on, it just does everything for you on your card. So, excuse the noise. There. So there's our pieces there and our envelope done. Now I'm going to do another of the embossing folders, and for this one I'm going to use this. It's like a starburst type of effect. I think that's the best way of it describing it. And once again, I'm going to put my white base plate down, and then I put my card in so that I can see the gold and the Stampin' Up logo, and I know then that it's in the right place. And hinge first for the embossing folder, and then my plate on top. And let's see what this one looks like. Oh wow, that is so gorgeous. That is, oh, that is just beautiful. You see what I mean, how the foils really make those embossed pieces really pop. So let's go ahead and just add some tape. So that's 2 of the 3 embossing folders, and they're available from Wednesday, and they're available in the pack of 3. And the 3 embossing powders, they come in a pack of 3, and these papers are also available in that pack of 3. Oh, that's just lifted off the adhesive, not just the backing. All right, so I'm going to position this one first. Just make sure it's centered up. Oh, it moved slightly. There we go. And just gently pull those extra pieces away, and then just run your finger down to make sure that adhesive has made good contact. And then we're going to use some liquid here. And just pop this one down. So all 3 cards are the same, just using the different coloured products and different, I think it looks beautiful. I really love this. I really do. Okay, so that's our card, and I said I would share with you how I made my greetings. So I've got a couple of punches that I've used, and one I'm going to, this one here, this is the larger one. Its name escapes me at the moment, but I'm just going to cut out one of these soft or scallopy circles with that one. And then I'm going to cut a piece of vanilla cardstock with the other. Now, anybody any questions that they might have for me here? So I've got my thank you, and I'm just going to stand up so I can try and get it level and get the gold out again. And then one of the little leaves in the stamp set, this is this one, it's a tiny little leaf. Really love that delicate leaf. And I'm just going to put a leaf at the top to fill that empty space. Here we go. And we're just going to cook that. Have you ever done any heat embossing, Ellen? I know Jawny has. She's done that with me. When you look at that, it's kind of sort of grey and dull looking. As soon as you put the heat on it, ooh, it blows away. But then it starts to melt, and we get that lovely shiny finish. And you can tell that it's cooked is when you don't get any of that dull grey. You've just got the lovely shininess of the gold. I'm going to stick this on with a couple of glue dots. Onto the circle. And it just gives a very delicate background, not too fussy. And then I'm going to pop that on, or should I do that? Should I do it that way or the other way? No, it's kind of lost, isn't it? Yeah, it's lost. So I am going to do it that way. And we're going to pop in a couple of extra. Make sure I've got it at the right angle. On the right side, because I don't want this to be sticking on both flaps of my card. I think this could be called like a gatefold card, although to be honest with you, whenever I've done a gatefold card in the past, the flaps have always met in the middle, but I'm going to call this a gatefold. All right, so the vote was that we would put a ribbon on this, so I'm going to do a gold one. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do when we get to the bronze, because there's no, oh sorry, the copper, because I don't have a copper ribbon, but we will cross that bridge in a minute when we get to it. Now I am going to put this on with a glue dot. And just fill that little space there, like that. So there's our second paper with our second embossing folder. and our gatefold card. So what do you think of that one? Let me, where did I put the silver one? I got so much bits and pieces on the table here. I'm finding it. Here's the silver one. So we already tied the bow, so we're just going to cut that and use a glue dot. Yeah. So there we have silver and gold. Let me just clear my mess a little bit, and then I'll share the final colour combo with you. Give me a moment and I'll be right back. All right. So we have copper. We're going to work with our copper now. So the copper has a white background. So I'm going to use another white card base here. And it's exactly the same size as I mentioned earlier, 11 by 5.5, and I just scored it at 3 3/8 from each end, and then that gives me my nice sort of fold over. And my panels, my layer panels, are 3 by 5.25. So again, I'm going to cut this 3, put that up out the way, and 5.25. And then I'm going to cut a piece of the copper. So this is the copper foil. So rather than cut a whole strip down, I'm going to cut it, let's see, I'm going to need to cut it 5.25 that way and 3 that way, and that gives me some strips. So we're now going to use embossing folder number 3. So this is kind of a crazy crosshatch kind of effect. So again, I need to make sure I put it in so that the foil side is the same side as the logo on the embossing folder. So we've got it here. And then hinge first into the machine, and embossing plate on top, crank that through, and then we'll see what we've got. Oh ho ho, oh ho ho, I think that is probably my favourite. Oh, look at that. That is just gorgeous. Oh, wake up, back up, Cindy. You're off in a... and being mesmerised by that. Oh, that is just stunning. I just think that's going to be my favourite go-to. So the actual card itself is very straightforward sort of design. I'd like to call them fancy folds or fun folds, just because it's a little bit different than having just a piece of cardstock folded in half. Oh dear, that's not being very obliging, is it? There we go. I'm just gently going to smooth that down so that it doesn't upset my embossing, and then I'm going to do my same technique again. If you've never used this technique, it's really good. It's much better than wrangling all that adhesive, and it's a little technique that my good friend Ellie in the UK taught me. Alrighty, if you'd like to watch some of her videos, she's elementary card crafting, and she shares some really lovely ideas. Okay, so that's that. And then finally that side. There's my pieces, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of adhesive to attach this. Make sure it's the right way up, Cindy. There we go. So again, I'm just going to repeat the decoration. All the cards are just going to be the same, but you know, using the different colours. And this time we're going to use the copper embossing powders. And it's got a little bit of an overstamp there. And let's get this one. And just hold them down with my brush. There, I think those are both adequately cooked. Oh, isn't that lovely? I shouldn't keep saying it myself, but I'm loving it. Just to do our greeting, so I'm just going to share that with you again so that you can just see how consistent the design is. And this time we're going to use some of the copper. And where's my greeting? There it is. I'm going to stand up again to do my greeting. You know, looking out the window, it's still a miserably grey day out there. I don't know what's happening with our Texas weather. Okay, so let's put a little bit of powder on there. And I've got a little bit of a space, so I'm going to just go in this time with my leaf again. I'm going to pop it twice. I think I can get away with that, just to fill up space. Just clear my decks so that we've got some working space. And a little bit of heat. There we are. A couple of glue dots on there. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me today while I shared these new papers and embossing folders with you. I'm just going to do that one there, just put that on there with some dimensionals again. Well, if you have enjoyed my live video today, oh, I've put that on the wrong side. Less chat, Cindy, and more concentrating, I'm thinking would be a better idea. If you have enjoyed, then maybe you'll just go ahead and give me a little thumbs up on the below. If you don't already subscribe to my channel, perhaps you'd go ahead and do that, and then each time I post a video or I have a live, you'll get a notification. And I do go live every Sunday at this time, and it gives me an opportunity to share things that I perhaps don't get to do on my classes. Let's see, I've got just a little bit of white ribbon because I don't have any copper ribbon. So we'll just do a little white piece of white seam binding. Where did my, there they are. I'm just going to use another little glue dot to add that on there. Into there. So there we are. We have our 3 cards using our 3 new embossing folders and our 3 new papers. Where did I put that embossing folder? As well as another use for the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. Well, thank you, Ellen. I'm glad you you like these. I think that, you know, you could probably change out the greetings a little bit. They would make nice sort of anniversary or birthday cards, or maybe sort of a wedding card. Well, once again, I truly appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I will be back next Sunday with another live, and hopefully you'll be able to join me. Well, thank you once again. Bye bye for now.